2, 3. Welcome back, everybody, to the Fast Break with Taylor and Jake. We're switching up a little bit. Jake is on my right or your left, wherever you're watching. But we switched positions today. I have no idea why, but we did, because that's what we do around here, is we like to change things up a little bit. We're going to dive right in. Not like much has changed as far as like standing wise.
The Suns are creeping up.
Suns are creeping up with Jazz. Donovan tweaked his ankle a little bit, so he'll be out for a few games, they said. So that might give Phoenix.
Jamal was injured. We talked about that last time, right? Okay.
I think so.
All right. This is kind of something I wanted to talk about here. Donovan did tweak his ankle. Should be back. I'm guessing they're going to keep him out a week and a half to be cautious. Maybe 2, but although he could come back in probably 1, but I think they're not going to risk. So yeah, Donovan Mitchell, it looked pretty bad. Like he had to get helped off the court. It looked like an awkward fall. But yeah, fortunately Donovan Mitchell is healthy. Do you think this season has more injuries than normal?
It feels like it. If it doesn't, it really feels like it. It feels, especially stars. Yeah. I don't count the Nets as injuries because I've never seen a team that is so unhealthy as the Nets. And it's kind of ridiculous, so I don't like to count them. But yeah, I totally agree with you, Jake. We a few episodes ago, we listed all the stars that were injured at the time, and it's just a lot.
It seems like we see that, maybe it is a little bit more than usual, but people are acting like every other year, everyone's 100% healthy.
Right.
Which is not the case. But yeah, there's been like, a fair share of, like, I'm like, does Kawhi play anymore? I don't hear anything about Kawhi. Paul George, is he
He's actually been doing great. He's been doing really good as of late.
Maybe I'm just not paying like great attention, but I'm not like hearing the stars' names. Maybe it's probably me. I'm probably just not paying attention, but it seems like it's just not as severe as some people say it is.
Right.
But I think a lot of teams are. I think we're moving into the period of the NBA where teams would rather slip in the standings than get a higher seed. So they're wanting to rest their stars.
I hate it.
I think the league hates it too.
It's pathetic.
The fans hate it.
They do. I mean, you're paying bucks. And especially right now where they have limited amount of fans, I imagine the ticket prices are a little more expensive. Because of the lack of fans, they still need to be able to make their money, so they're probably charging more for tickets. So fans are paying a lot of money to get to these games, and why are you out?
Right.
Are you injured?
Right.
No, I just want to sit out this game. I don't feel like it. I'm like, well, I'm going home.
Right, like Anthony Davis, I think, has missed like 30 games this year, something like that. He missed 5 before his last injury, so I mean, Anthony Davis, he hasn't played. LeBron's been out for like 3 weeks, but he played. He has actually looked like an injury.
Right. They did say Anthony Davis will be back pretty soon, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Same with, like you said, Donovan. LaMelo Ball, who they had first said was out for the year, will be cleared and back.
Right. How did that happen? That was weird.
His injury is healed. They said he'll be back. He's already participating in contact, I guess. So in about a week, he'll be playing.
Cool.
It's always convenient that the stars, and like Jake and I kind of talked about, if these injuries are real injuries, it's very, very convenient that these injuries heal right before the playoffs. Like, I can guarantee you we're going to get a fully healthy Nets team right as playoffs start. Coincidence? I mean, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. We're going to get a healthy LeBron James and Anthony Davis right before the playoffs start. Isn't that funny? Like, it's...
Well, LeBron actually...
I get
LeBron
his,
actually hurt.
But he might want to sit out a little bit longer to make sure it's done.
He's 36 years old, though, Taylor. Come on.
No, guys. If you can't handle it, retire. Here's the thing. I just barely saw a post before I actually came over here to Jake. How sad is it going to be that the Utah Jazz or the Phoenix Suns work so hard for the number 1 and number 2 seed? What if the Lakers end up getting 7th or 8th seed and have to play Utah or Phoenix in the first round? Are Lakers going out?
Not in the first round, no.
So even if it's against Jazz?
I think the Jazz might be able to beat them. I don't think the Suns will. It'd be tough, but I do think the Jazz could beat them. It depends on, what you're going to get from LeBron and AD.
Right.
It depends on if the other guys are going to
Kuzma's going to want to play, or
if Kuzma's going to play, if KCP is going to play well, if Talon Horton-Tucker and Schroeder and Harrell and all those guys, if they play well, they can cakewalk to the
Right.
finals. I truly believe that.
Right.
But if it's just AD and LeBron that are playing well, I think the Jazz could get him. I think the Clippers could get him.
I think Clippers can do some damage. I've been watching them a little bit more, and they do look pretty good.
They're pretty good. They're the best 3-point shooting team and best free throw shooting team. I'm not gonna lie, Skip Bayless, for all his moronic takes, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Oh yeah, we will.
He did. Let's see. Let me find what he said. He tweeted a lot today. Okay, so he said, go ahead and gush about Steph and 20 and 29 Golden State. Ignore the Clippers running away with team 3-point shooting at 42%. I think the Jazz are on like 40, and they take the most, so I'm not like overly impressed with the Clippers. 42% is good as a team for sure. And he said they lead the league in free throw shooting, which I think in playoff time makes a big difference when you have these close games that are decided by points. You can't be leaving points at the line. So they're really efficient. They're a good shooting team, which kind of surprises me because I'm like, who are the Clippers shooters?
Right.
Like Marcus Morris?
Right. Paul George can shoot the three.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson, I thought he was like around like 37% kind of type guy. But they're kind of doing what the Jazz do, and they pass the ball. In the NBA, the more you pass the ball, you're going to get a guy wide open. Mm-hmm. And if you're a professional in the NBA, you're going to make it 9 times out of 10. I would say even like a player like usually improved his 2-point shooting, let's say for Rondo. Let's say they get 6 passes and Rondo's wide open in the corner for 3. 9 times out of 10, Rondo's going to make it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the Jazz do. That's what the Clippers do. That's what the Spurs have done.
It's what the good Warriors and the good Spurs teams, when they just picked apart the league, that's what they did. Right. So if you can, the Jazz have the offensive system to win any game where they're just going to outscore you. They're solid defensively. I want to say they're 4th overall defensively in the league. So not the very best, but definitely very good. And if they're going to make their threes, good luck keeping pace.
Right.
I mean, that's what we saw a lot. Did you watch the Jazz and Lakers last night?
I just kept up with the score.
Okay, so the Rudy Gobert, I'm sorry, I'm not sorry. He's actually really the runaway defensive player of the year. Uh-huh. It's his
Shame
best.
on Ben Simmons.
It's his best defensive year. The Jazz, once they got Gobert, they did get Conley and Favors back. But let's see what Andre Drummond did game 1 against the Jazz versus game 2 of this series.
I think it was 27 points in game 1.
Let's see. He had, and this is without Favors and without Gobert. So Ersan Ilyasova is
who had a monster block against Kuzma. That was pretty in your face.
Yeah. So he had.
Ersan played great.
Game 1 without Gobert, Andre Drummond had 27 points. He was plus 18. He had 8 rebounds, and he was 10 of 15 from the field. Last night, the Jazz, really after the third quarter, kind of started to really kind of run away with it.
Yeah.
Drummond had 8 points. He was 3 of 12 from the line, and he was
3 of 12.
negative. He was minus 15.
Yeah.
So. People just like to hate on Rudy Gobert. He's kind of a funny guy. Like I remember he wore like a sparkly pink suit when he won the first defensive player of the year. Like he's a little bit different than like the normal stars. And he shut the league down, not just defensively but with COVID. I mean his effect when the Jazz are when he's on the court versus not is so apparent. I mean he's on pace to have 1,000 points. 1,000 rebounds, and I want to say 200 blocks in 72 games, which I think Tim Duncan and Hakeem Olajuwon have only done before, and Tim Duncan did it in 74 games. So if you're putting up similar numbers as Tim Duncan did back in his prime, that's an effect on the game. Right. That's really good.
Right.
So what I'm saying is, the Jazz have potential to be really good in the playoffs, and we'll see where it goes.
Let's talk about the Jazz being really good. I'm going to throw something right out there right now, Jay. Jazz are not going to win this year, but they're going to be more of a contender next year because of one, individual.
Donovan.
Dwayne Wade.
Oh.
The Jazz, Dwayne Wade just bought
about,
stakes in the Utah Jazz. And I'm looking at that big picture. The thing with the Utah Jazz, no one wants to go there. Why? I don't know. People who come here, they love it. Okay? You look at Jordan Clarkson.
Look at Favors. Favors came back.
Right. You look at Jordan Clarkson, the guy who's this is coming from a Utah standpoint. A guy who's all tattooed up, does not fit the Utah scene. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Utah
is a very clean-cut, highly Caucasian state. And that's why a lot of people think like NBA players aren't going to fit in because we don't have like the clubbing scene. That's non-existent in Utah. It's not there.
So no one wants to come to Utah. They'd rather go to Miami. They'd rather go to LA. They'd rather go to New York. So Dwayne Wade bringing in who I think is the third greatest shooting guard of all time.
You know how I feel about that.
Dwayne Wade and Donovan's play style are pretty similar. Donovan shoots a little bit more than Wade does, but they play very similar. And I think Wade really sees himself in Donovan. Mm-hmm. And I think
as a player and as a person, because they're both like they're really obviously. I think they're incredibly smart people. Just intelligent. I think they take the game very seriously. They know how to. Who does anyone not respect Dwayne Wade?
Right.
Maybe Paul Pierce, but
no one respects you now, buddy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. Anyways, so I think they're both like really smart, really like just really good dudes.
Right.
And I think Dwayne Wade really probably does see a lot of himself.
Well, I don't think Dwayne Wade wants Donovan Mitchell's career to go to waste because he doesn't have that second star. I don't think Utah will ever get that second star unless Donovan came. I really don't. Unless they got him from the draft. Whoop-de-doo. That's insanely hard to do. Jazz have been able to do it. But I really think Dwayne Wade brings that caliber of we're big time here, and that's going to draw in free agents. And I don't know, maybe next year. Who's a big time free agent next year?
There's a lot.
I know there's a big list. Maybe that'll attract because people would rather. I imagine people would rather play with Dwayne Wade as more part of their owner.
Right. Just it's like, yeah, just that respect that Dwayne Wade. It's like Dwayne Wade. He could have gone to other organizations. He could have bought into other organizations.
Heck, he could have bought into Miami.
He could have, but I think he, for whatever reason, just decided Utah was a better place. I know he met the new owner of the Jazz a couple years back, and I think they wanted to get in like some business together because obviously like the Jazz owner, he is like a multi-billionaire.
Right.
Dwayne Wade's obviously he started multiple brands and companies since he's retired, so he's not just gonna go on vacation for the rest of his life.
It'll be interesting to see how much he participates, like at the games. Like if he's like Mark Cuban and always be right down there.
I don't know about all year round, but I think he'll be pretty active.
And that's going to be huge for Utah. I think this is a lot better than like obviously it sounds great. Dwayne Wade just bought part of the Utah Jazz. Like, that sounds awesome, but I think big picture, I think it's going to be a lot bigger than people think.
Right. I do think he'll be pretty involved. And I think he realizes the Jazz are a good organization to buy into. I also would have thought the Heat would have been good as well.
Right.
But like, just because you have a big name owner doesn't guarantee success. I mean, look what's happened or not happened in Charlotte. I mean, the
greatest player of all time,
the most famous NBA player ever, if you want to call him like the best, like a lot, so like almost everyone shares that opinion.
Owns them.
Yeah, he owns them. And what have they done?
Right.
Not much.
They're going in the right direction, but still they're very far. To me, they're still very, very far to even contend.
So I think Dwayne Wade said, who's a team, an organization that's on the rise? What's the Utah economy is just a growing place, so he'll I'm sure get into other business things in Utah. There's a lot of like booming like tech industry down in Utah as well. So I think there was probably a lot of reasons other than just like I want to own an NBA team and I'm going to send my name to the first place that comes along.
Right.
So I think it's awesome just as like a Heat fan, a Dwayne Wade fan, a Jazz fan. It all just kind of comes full circle for me that like my favorite basketball player of all time is now a part owner of
your home team,
my home team, and one of my 2 favorite NBA teams. So
right.
I think it's pretty dope. Do you want to talk about the free agents?
Yeah, run them over really fast.
All right. So bigger ones are Chris Paul, Kawhi Leonard, Mike Conley, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan. After that is kind of a little bit of a drop off. There's Otto Porter, Victor Oladipo, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dennis Schroeder, Evan Fournier. Those guys are all, I'd say, contributors. And then you've kind of got other roster guys like Kelly Olynyk, Trevor Ariza, Paul Millsap, Serge, those kind of guys. So there's definitely some free agents that are going to be, I would imagine, I think Kawhi will stay.
I do too.
Chris Paul.
I think it'd be stupid to come to Utah because no one in Utah likes him. He hates him in Utah.
Where do you see Chris Paul going? Do you think it's most likely he's going to resign? What if he just retires? He's had a long career.
Maybe, I don't know. He has.
I don't think he'll retire.
I don't either because I think he wants to win, but I don't think he necessarily wants to ring chase for it.
Right.
Because he's not there yet. Not. He's still the reason Phoenix are second in the West. I love as much as I love Devin Booker. It's because of Chris Paul. It's because of Chris Paul. So maybe he would want to come to Utah, I guess, to say like, hey, this team first seed in the West. Let me make them better because every single team Chris Paul has joined, that next year they've improved drastically.
And then when he leaves, they tend to decline.
Right.
Like look at the Thunder this year.
But he just cannot win. He is totally a regular season kind of guy, and as soon as it comes to playoffs, he just chokes, which.
I don't know.
It's kind of weird.
I don't even know his playoff numbers, so I'm not going to say he chokes. But he's obviously he doesn't have a ring. He's been in the league for a long time. He's never been on like an ultra stacked team. I don't think he's been on some competitive and good teams, the Clippers and Rockets in particular, and some decent teams with the Hornets at the time. I don't think he's going to get one. I just don't.
I don't either.
Which is too man. He's the type of guy that you love him on your team, but you hate to play against him. Like when he's not playing the Heat or the Jazz, I like watching Chris Paul because he's so good.
He just passed Magic Johnson for 5th on all-time assist leader. I mean, that says something.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, he's frustrating. He's frustrating when he's playing against your team with his antics. His mid-range shot, the way he gets his teammates involved, he's really good. He's a really good player.
He's a great ball player. So the free agents, I don't know if any of those, maybe like a DeRozan could really help out. I don't know, but even DeRozan tends to kind of not necessarily fall apart in the playoffs, but hasn't really shown up in the playoffs much, mainly because he's met LeBron James every stinking time he's ever been there.
He's had a bad hand.
But I don't know, maybe a DeRozan kind of guy. I don't know. From that list, no one really sticks out to me. But regardless, what we're trying to say is Dwayne Wade long-term is going to be a very big success, I feel, to the Utah Jazz organization.
For sure. I'm excited. I think there's going to be... I think LeBron is going to try and be a majority owner. He's definitely got the money to buy a majority share. These NBA teams are like... They're crazy with like the total like valuation of it is what they're worth. Like, weren't the Timberwolves... Like the total sell was like, or they're worth like 1.6 billion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think LeBron's got that kind of money.
Right.
But he could definitely be a majority owner if he wants to. So I think this is going to be like for a while, like players were wanting to like be coaches, and then you see them kind of get into GMs, and now like they're to the point where they can buy into teams. I think I do think that's pretty cool because I think Dwayne Wade will kind of help the Jazz like ownership realize what it's really like to be a player. Like obviously, they can go down and talk to their players. Right. But when you have someone who's going to be calling the shots who lived the story, I think it'll definitely help him set up. So, do you know Shaq is a part owner of this Kings? Does he ever go to a Kings game?
No, because he works for TNT. He's got his job.
Yeah, he wouldn't go if he
wouldn't go. He wouldn't want to be spotted in Sacramento. He wants to be, I don't know. Speaking of like players like Chris Paul who never won a ring, a player who's never won a ring, who now will officially never win a ring is LaMarcus Aldridge. Is that really kind of shocked, I think, the NBA.
Yeah.
Shocked me. I got the notification and I kind of had to take a step back and like, whoa, serious?
Yeah.
Marcus Aldridge just out of nowhere retired because he had irregular heartbeats in the prior game.
He said he was and I totally understand. Like he was freaking out.
I'm sure.
It scared him.
Well, and he totally could have been that player who says, you know what, I'll be on the team, but I won't play mainly because I want the ring. But he totally retired. He's like, I got to focus on me and my family.
Yeah.
And that's more than a ring. I mean, your family and your life is more than a stinking NBA championship ring. So I think it was a really smart decision. It was really sad because I've always been a LaMarcus Aldridge fan. Yeah. One of the most dominant like bigs we've seen this past like decade, especially when he was on Portland and everything. But
he had over 20,000 points and 9,000 rebounds. That's pretty elite company. Like you see the players that have broken those numbers, 20,000 points, 9,000 rebounds. It's like Tim Duncan. I think Pau Gasol, like some really, really good players. Yeah. Obviously, I'm sure Kareem and Carmel and some of those other guys, Hakeem. So really,
but those are big top name players. You really don't associate LaMarcus with that. But then we're like, wow, LaMarcus really had a dang good career. He had a very good career.
A lot of good years in Portland, and then the last couple in San Antonio weren't quite as good, but still overall very solid. So you just hope they can get that figured out. Unfortunately, I think he'll be able to. Kind of reminded me of when Chris Bosh kind of retired because he had blood clots. And he wasn't able to, unfortunately, get back to the NBA. But it's good to see, they were able to experience like a full career because some of these players, like kind of Derrick Rose, never really got to live up to everything that he could have been. He's still in the league, which is incredible.
He's still,
but like Brandon Roy, for example, or Grant Hill or Tracy McGrady, I don't think lived up to the full potential of their career, where I'd say LaMarcus did. I think he did everything and probably more than he was expected to.
Right, absolutely.
So, do you think the Nets will give him an honorary ring if he wins, or if they win?
Maybe. I think it'd be kind of cool. I think it'd be cool because, I mean, he wasn't with them for very long, but still.
He played with them. He got to know the team. I'm sure he'll stay in contact with them and. Who knows how involved he'll be. I'd imagine he's probably going to take a pretty big step back from the league and just try and really slow it down and get himself 100% healthy and or I don't know if that's something I don't know much about medicine, so hopefully he can get himself back to normal life, because I'm sure the irregular heartbeat, there's probably a lot of other complications that'll affect other areas. I don't know that for sure, but I would just imagine that's probably the case. So just hope he can get healthy and stay with his family.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Jake. We're going to talk about Stephen Curry and what he's actually done.
Nothing.
Nothing. He, to me, statistically, is having his best season he's ever had. He just has 77 3-pointers in a 10-game span, which is the most threes in a 10-game span. Guys, think about that. That is nearly 8 3-pointers a game for the past 10 games. He had 3 games where he made 10, 11, and then 10. He has 11 games, I believe, 11 games where he's hit 11 or more 3-pointers. The only other player has 1. Does that make sense?
This year?
No. So there's a few players who've made, like Levine's made 11, J.R. Smith, but they've only had one of those games.
Klay Thompson included? Reggie Miller? All those guys?
I believe Klay Thompson, yeah.
Wow.
Klay Thompson's just, I don't know. That's what the animation on the NBA TV said.
I'm sure they fact check that.
But yes, even if
Klay Thompson hit over 11 times.
11 times. Okay. When Kobe and Donyell Marshall had the 12 3-pointers made record, that stood for quite a little while. And now that's not even relevant anymore. Curry, I know, has broken it.
You said 12, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kobe and Donyell had the record for 12 made 3-pointers made in a game. Curry, I know, has broken it twice.
Here's the thing. If another player hits 12 in a game or 11, we know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's Damian, who's the second best shooter in the league, top 5 shooter all time.
Woo! Wow.
Oh, top 5? Oh, I'd go top 5.
Dame?
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah.
Oof, okay.
All right. Well.
Okay, that's
here's
fair.
the
That's
thing.
fair.
I mean, he can hit shots like, for example, like Kyle Korver
Right.
can't hit, but obviously Kyle Korver's made more. I don't know. He's got to be in consideration.
He does.
Dame's he's a really good
He's a ball player.
He's a shooter. Anyone else hits 11 or more, like Klay Thompson, whenever he does it, like about it. But Steph, it's
kind of goes on the radar.
It's another Steph night. It's like, wow, oh, Steph had he had another one of those games.
I mean, Levine had a 13 made 3-pointer game. Did you know that? Levine had a 13. Yeah. I'm like, that's even ridiculous. And like Jake said, that was known. We all knew about it. But yeah, like Curry, did you even know he had 10 3-pointers last night?
I did actually.
Yeah, but they don't.
We've been paying attention to Steph because of the regularity he's been doing it. That's the only reason why. I mean, if he just did it out of nowhere, right. I don't know.
He's had multiple 40-point games, especially like in this past 10 game span. He's really blossomed. He had, in my opinion, the most entertaining game of the year against my Celtics, with him scoring 47 and Tatum scoring 44. Mm-hmm. The Celtics won the game, but Curry is
accepted more than he needed to.
Does he now slide into the MVP conversation?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So who's number one? I've got my number one.
Probably Jokic.
Yeah. If he doesn't win, I'm gonna be so bummed because he's playing out of his mind. Okay, you got number 2.
The slow fat. Where is he even from? Slovenia. Or is that Luka?
I think they're both. No, I was about to say Norway.
Where is Jokic from? He's from Serbia.
Serbia.
Yeah. Luka's Slovenian. Dragic is Slovenian. And he is Serbian. So the fat Serbian is going to win the MVP.
He doesn't. I love him.
He couldn't jump high enough to slip a piece of paper under his shoes.
I love this man. And he just destroyed. It was a double overtime game, but 47 points.
Right. That's another one of those things that I was thinking. I was like, I mean, he's a really good rebounder. He's a best big man passer of all time.
I would agree.
Okay.
I would agree with that.
I was like, but can he score when he needs to? Can he go out there and there's what was it,
47
bomb. So yeah, it turns out he can't score.
He's hit game winners. He's hit threes. Jokic is the best center in the league, and nobody can change my mind.
No, I don't know, dude. Number 2 has got to be, to go back to number 2, I got to go Joel.
That's fair too. That's fair. That is very, very fair. I mean, he's had a great season. He's already having a great career.
They're first in the East.
They are.
He's by far their best player.
Oh yeah, easy,
dude.
I'm sorry. Ben Simmons isn't even in contention anymore.
No.
Ben Simmons will never get better. I'm sorry. I hate to say it, but he won't. He can't.
He's the guy that he makes good plays. You're not gonna like when you watch the highlight reel, he's gonna have a few plays, but he's never gonna be the guy who wins you a game. I don't.
Right. I don't think so either.
I think he'll make some good passes. He'll run in transition. He'll play good defense. He is a good defender. He's a very good player, but he's not like a super max. Because when you need him to, he's not going to take over a game. Maybe one time per season.
Right.
But that's where I don't know why, but I always compare him to Donovan Mitchell. Maybe because of that rookie race they had. I'm like, Donovan Mitchell, 10 times out of 10, I would take him to start a franchise over Ben Simmons.
Right.
Not because of what he does defensively or even passing, but when you need someone to go out there when you're down, or you need someone to close the game and you need buckets and your team is ice cold, you can give it to Donovan Mitchell. You're not giving it to Ben Simmons. Right. I would give it to 25 players before I gave Ben Simmons a chance. Yeah. Firkin
Korkmaz would be a better option.
But he's a good
player, but
player.
To me way overrated.
Yeah.
And what he actually can do on the court.
What if he was in New Orleans and Zion was in Philadelphia?
I think it'd be the same. I think
Zion
it's like
was
Lonzo.
so hyped coming out of college. Everything he did was on ESPN and on social media, and he is killing it down in New Orleans, having an amazing season. I'm like, you don't hear much about it. So really, I mean, if Ben Simmons was in a smaller market, not like one of the traditional East Coast teams, like big city, with another superstar, Joel Embiid, we wouldn't hear anything about Ben Simmons. Is maybe when he hits a 3 every 25 games.
Right. I mean, it's
this isn't about Ben Simmons. This is about Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is really good. I mean, I was really excited when the Sixers played the Jazz. And we know how good Gobert is. And he's honestly, I think, a better team defender than he is even one-on-one. He's great one-on-one. But, I mean, most of his blocks are on penetrating players. Right. So, team-wise, he makes the biggest effect. But, man, he couldn't do anything against Embiid.
Right.
I mean, Embiid, he had him on the post. He was making those, 10, 15-foot jump shots that he just gets the ball on the post, faces up. He's too tall. You're not going to block him. He can even hit a 3 and, trailer 3. He is dominant inside. He's really good offensively, but you're right. Jokic is better all around. For sure.
I do think Jokic will win the MVP.
You think he will?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Unless he gets injured or something, please don't get injured. He's not athletic enough to get injured. He's not going to be moving around a lot, hopefully. But I would be willing to bet money that Jokic is the MVP.
You think he is?
I do.
Okay. Who's after that? I'd probably go.
I know Embiid is having a great year.
LeBron had a really good year.
He did, but he's out for too long, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. No, what is it, 3 games, like you said? No, that's not too bad. But I'd probably have to put Curry. Curry is leading the league in points at 31 points in a game.
How many games did he miss? Steph. He was out more towards earlier.
Probably a month,
right?
wasn't it? Would you say a month? I don't know about a month.
It seemed like a little longer, but
is this when he hurt his tuchus?
I don't know. I don't follow his injury report.
Broke his coccyx.
Yeah. Okay. Jokic is averaging 26.4 on 56% shooting. That's really good. And 11 rebounds and let's say 9 assists. He's 8.8. 9 assists. So he's dang near averaging a triple-double as a freaking center. I
feel like every single game, I go on to look at his box score, and he's got a triple-double. I'm like, are you kidding me? How do you... Triple-doubles are so, irrelevant now. They mean nothing, which is terrible, but, Jokic is putting them up every game.
Almost every game. If he's not, he's 1 or 2 rebounds or assists shy.
We mentioned Russell Westbrook. No one is talking about Russell Westbrook yet. He's had over 25 triple doubles this season.
Let's see what his season stats are. Is he averaging or one?
He's killing it. He's probably averaging 22, probably close to 11 and 11.
See his stats for the year. He's averaging a triple double, 21 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists.
That's better than his MVP season.
That is crazy. A couple years ago, I never would have guessed someone was averaging a triple double. Because Oscar Robertson did it, and it was
in the 60s.
Years before between Michael Jordan never did it. LeBron's haven't done it. Larry Bird didn't do it. Magic Johnson didn't do it. And here's Russell Westbrook. He's about to do it for his 4th?
I think
he did it 3 years in a row. He didn't not last year. His best 3 years in OKC, not in Houston because he's playing with James Harden, and here he is doing it again in Washington.
You've got 3 guys. I guess you could throw James Harden in there too. But you've got 3 legitimate guys who are averaging triple-doubles, and Russell Westbrook, Nikola Jokic, and Doncic. 3 guys in the same era averaging dang near triple-doubles. And it's just...
Keep it for real. A lot of people don't give LeBron too much credit for the impact he's had overall as a game, just because people say Steph has changed the game because anyone can huck up a 3. You go to a kid's game, any of these kids can huck up a 3, but they're not all going to be as good overall as LeBron James is. How big of an effect do you, if any? If you don't, that's fine. I think I'm going to say he's had a big effect on it.
LeBron?
on the fact that these players are like walking triple doubles now.
Oh, I'm like, he's had a pretty good effect. Yeah, I'd say so.
I don't mean like individually. Like obviously he's gone in like what 9 finals.
Right.
Yeah, that's effective. But what's the effect he's had on the league?
I think he has been. And no one ever talks about it. You bring up a great point. I don't think anyone has ever talked about LeBron James's. What's the word I'm looking for?
Impact, the way he's changed the game.
The way he's changed the game. Curry, like we mentioned, Curry has completely changed the game. Single-handedly, Curry has taken the three-pointer line 10 feet out by himself. LeBron James, I would agree with that. I think Larry Bird was like the first like legit small forward to like be like a nice passer, to be really good at passing, get triple doubles. But then no one really
Magic
after
Johnson
him.
Was a big point.
Right. And then LeBron started to consistently get like 25, 8, and 7. And that was kind of big deal numbers. He proved that you can score while passing. And I think
and again, you're right. He's not the first. Like I don't want to say like, LeBron's the first person who ever had a triple double. He wasn't.
Right.
Jason Kidd, he obviously had a lot. He was really good as an overall player. I do think of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson as also like really good all-around players. Maybe I would be the first. Well, probably Oscar was the first to ever have it.
That would be my guess. That would be my guess.
But it wasn't. Like a triple double was a rare occasion. It's not a rare occasion. You can find 5, probably 3 to 5 players any night, depending on how many games are, of course. But a triple double is not uncommon. It's still a good night. Like nobody.
To put it into perspective.
No, go ahead.
You can either quote me on this, or I'm sure Dayton can. Dayton, if you're watching, Donovan has not had a triple double.
I don't.
And if he has, he only has.
I think he was.
I know there was one game he was 1 rebound away, and he went up, and I think Gobert took it from, and Donovan just like right at him. He's like, "Are you kidding me, boy?"
That's what I was talking about. Yeah.
So he's either had 1 or he's had none. I mean, that puts it in perspective. Jason Tatum just had his first.
Right, and we're like.
So like they're top-notch players who either don't get them or have had little of them. Ray Allen won his entire career, but now there are some players who are it's a bad game if they don't get a triple double.
Yeah, just about. I mean, Jokic and Doncic and all the itches and. That's what Shaq always says. Hey, he says, if your last name is Itch, you're a good shooter.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's funny.
And Radmanovich, one of my all-time favorites, Sasha Vujicic.
That's funny. That is funny. Yeah, if your last name is Itch, you're probably a good shooter.
KJ, you wanted to talk about Skip Bayless for a second.
Oh man, like Skip Bayless. I said we were gonna name it the Draymond Green Clown of the Week award, but I don't think that's a little harsh. I mean, he does say some goofy things sometimes, but he also says some pretty intelligent things, honestly, from time to time.
Draymond. Okay.
Dude, Skip is. He's made a career out of trolling. Like I actually think he's the original troll. Like how people are like, oh, Twitter invented trolls and Facebook and YouTube and stuff. Nope. Skip Bayless has made a career as a professional troll because if he just decides that he likes someone, and if he likes someone, he is like there is nothing that they can do wrong.
Right.
There is no argument that he can't spin. I'll give him credit. He's actually really smart for how well he can turn an argument around and make it completely nonsensical.
Right.
But, he just hates Luka because he can't make a free throw. Like, he's like, oh, Luka's not clutch. And he went back to his rookie year to see the stats that he missed a game-winning shot. He's been great the last couple seasons.
Right, he said that insane,
and he's
insane buzzer beater.
Right, and Skip is like, yeah, but overall he's not clutch. I mean, include his rookie numbers, but it's like, who's clutch as a rookie?
Right.
How many people hit game-winning shots as a rookie? Not many. So, and specifically why we want to talk about this today is because he said Steph is not in my top 20 all time, and Steph needs to be in your top 20 all time.
Yeah. Well, it's not even the fact that he wasn't in his top 20.
Fan.
It's who he had ahead of Steph.
Right.
List them up, Jake.
He had Karl Malone.
You can make a
probably
case
similar.
for Karl.
Yeah, he's second scorer. Second scoring overall, 2-time MVP. He had a phenomenal career, but I don't know if he's better than Steph. There was Oscar Robertson, the Mr. Triple-Double, but what would Steph do if he played in the 60s? He'd average a triple-double, and he'd probably average 75 points a game. He had Dirk Nowitzki. Again, these are all legendary players. If you have these in your top 20, we're not.
There's no
my
harm
top
in
20.
that.
Yeah, they're my top 20 as well.
But there is one player who is harmful.
He had the audacity to put Bill Walton over Steph Curry in the all-time list.
Bill Walton.
Like, yeah, I know Bill Walton did have a few good years, but he had a few good years.
Right.
He hasn't had, Steph's like, in his 11th or 12th season? And he really broke out in, 2013-14.
Right.
And since then, he's been a top 5 player in the league consistently.
Right, absolutely. Bill Walton.
If not higher, top 3, there's been a couple years where he could say he was the best player in the league. He's the greatest shooter of all time. That's not a question.
There's no debating anymore. Sorry, guys.
He has a 2-time MVP, 3 rings. He hasn't won Finals MVP, but that is, I think, probably the biggest knock against him.
It is kind of a knock.
Finals MVP. But man, just the offensive firepower that Steph brings has never been seen before.
Right.
And it's going to be a long time, I'm sure, before we see anyone quite like Steph. I don't know. We'll eventually see is this the best 3-point shooter of all time?
Right.
There's going to be someone who comes close, but I don't think it'll be for a few years.
Yeah.
So Bill Walton, I don't even know if he's a top 10 center of all time, let alone better than Steph Curry, top 20.
Yeah, I don't know. I know Bill Walton. Was it Bill Walton? Was the greatest college player of all time. I know he had a phenomenal college career.
He had a really good career with UCLA.
But
those UCLA that was also around the time that Kareem was there as well.
Right.
So UCLA was just a really good program back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, something like that.
Yeah.
70s, 80s. I don't know exactly when Bill Walton played, but yeah, he had a good college career. But I mean,
he did. But it's
not even in the
same Jimmer.
Breath as Steph Curry.
Jimmer had a phenomenal career. So let's put him in our top 20.
Taylor, why didn't Jimmer work out in the league?
I don't know. I still think
it's his defense.
I don't think it is though.
No, it's his defense.
Because there are players who I watch that have no defense. Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving, James Harden at first. He's developed a little bit of a defensive game. But there are players who don't give a kumquat about defense. Yet they still do fine. Luka can't defend a turtle. Okay? I mean, I don't know what it is. He just...
Do you think flight teams just hate Jimmer?
He can't make shots on an NBA court. He steps on any other court in history besides an NBA court, he'll score. He goes to China and has multiple 70-point games, okay? I don't know what it is about NBA courts. He just can't hit shots.
I don't know. Probably just the defense is better than his offense.
It's gotta be. I mean, I still think, he would do well on the Jazz. I really do. I think if he just sits in the corner and just gets the ball past 3, boom. I do. He'll never be a star. I don't know if anyone actually thought he was going to be a star.
Well, some teams thought it. I mean, the Pelicans drafted him 10th overall, so.
I thought the Kings did.
Or was it the Kings who drafted him?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, it was the Kings. Drafted, yeah, I think 10th overall. Wasn't he one before? What draft class was that in? There was someone he was before.
I'm pretty sure that was 11.
I think it was Kawhi.
I think it was, because I remember they played in college, and actually Jimmer beat Kawhi in college. That's what I'm saying. Jimmer, on any court, is the best player to ever touch a basketball. But then, when he goes to the NBA, he's just...
Let's see. 2011 NBA draft.
Jake, me and you could probably make more shots than he could on the NBA court.
Nah, I wouldn't go that far. Okay, Kyrie was first. Kemba Walker was 9th. So Klay Thompson was 11th. That was one after Jimmer.
Oof, that's gotta hurt.
Kawhi Leonard was 15th. Nikola Vucevic 16th. Jimmy Butler 30th. And Isaiah Thomas 60th.
60, yep.
Although, I mean this is a very strange draft. You know who was second?
Kyrie was second. Or Kyrie was first. Who was second?
Back to the old testing Taylor.
What is this? Is 11, right?
I'll give you a hint. He played at Arizona and he was in the dunk contest.
Hashim Thabit.
No, he played at Memphis, I think.
He played at where?
I think Hashim Thabit played at...
No, this guy.
Oh, he played at Arizona.
And he was in the dunk contest.
He was. Drafted by... Oh, he even played the team. Timberwolves.
Oh, Johnny Flynn.
No.
What?
He also played for the Cavs, too. Derek Williams.
Oh, that's right. Derek Williams had the dumbest dunk contest.
Yeah,
Hop
he
over
jumped
a motorcycle.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't jump over a motorcycle. Enes Kanter was 3rd. Tristan Thompson was 4th. Jonas Valanciunas, he's pretty good. He was 5th. That's a 5th overall pick. We cannot breeze over the fact that Enes Kanter had a 30 rebound game this past week. Where did that come
How
from?
in the world does Enes Kanter grab 30 rebounds in a game? And I'm telling you, Jake, I do not like Enes Kanter. I was very ecstatic when Boston picked him up last year. I really, really was. And he didn't do crap for Boston. And then, of course, he goes back to Portland, and he's averaging like over 10 rebounds. I'm like, dude, this is what you were supposed to do for us.
I'm stupid. He played at UConn.
What did you? Oh, he played for Memphis Grizzlies.
That's right.
You were stupid. Skip Bayless is stupid. What was I going? Jimmer, good player.
What were you talking about?
I have no idea.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good.
Oh, Enes Kanter goes to Portland.
Yeah, and then he grabbed like his 30 rebound game. I'm like, what the heck, man?
I don't know. You know who's the 6th overall pick? Jan Vesely.
Jan Vesley.
Jan Vesely, is that how you say it?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Is he any good?
No. He never was. What, does he play for Washington?
He was drafted by, Washington. Good knowledge.
I know some stuff, people.
He does know some stuff.
I know my stuff.
Brandon Knight was 8th. He played at Kentucky, that's right.
He
Kemba
really could
Walker
have been
was
pretty
9th.
decent.
Yeah, that was good.
He's a good ninth pick.
Let's see. Who was it? Tobias Harris. He was 19th.
Good player.
Kenneth Faried. He had a few good years. 22nd. Nikola Mirotic. Reggie Jackson. Norris Cole. That was a Norris Cole draft.
He was like a really good, nice little gem coming out of the draft.
He was alright. Yeah. He got some minutes for the 28th overall pick. Bojan Bogdanovic also, Jimmy Butler is probably the steal of the draft, but Bojan Bogdanovic was the first pick of the 2nd round, and he's like...
Well, yeah, I mean, Isaiah was 60th, but as far as...
That's true.
Isaiah can't find a team right now, so Bojan, he's still in the league and putting up big-time numbers, so...
Davis Bertans was that draft.
Oh, was he really?
He was.
I thought he was 2017, but...
Etuan Moore, he gets some minutes.
Yeah, he does.
He plays. It's always funny to go back to these old drafts and look through it and see how off some of these teams were, how good some of them were.
Yeah.
Like Marshawn Brooks didn't he play for the Rockets or something?
I know he played for Nets, and then he traded he was part of that Paul Pierce trade to Boston, I believe. And I liked Marshawn. I had no reason to like him, but maybe it was just his name, Marshawn Brooks. I don't know.
Yeah, Derek Williams was the 2nd overall pick. I mean, the draft it's a crapshoot.
Right.
You just never you very rarely know for sure what you're gonna get.
I think there's very, very few players who are like, I am 100% positive they will be successful.
Oh yeah, it's always up in the air until they play and you see them, after even a couple of years.
I mean, we have 2 in this draft. We weren't 100% positive of Anthony Edwards. And you're always iffy about LaMelo, but they both turned out to be great.
Anthony Edwards, he's the funniest NBA player.
He's funny.
Dude,
he's funny.
Let me read this transcript. He's just so nonchalant.
He's funny.
He is not out here to impress anyone.
No.
He is just himself, and I really like that. So if you haven't heard, we kind of mentioned it, but Alex Rodriguez, the former baseball player, is a investor, and he's investing to become a part owner of the Timberwolves.
Move Minnesota.
All right. So he did an interview with GQ magazine, and they said, "So you really don't know who A-Rod is, huh?"
Oh yeah.
He said, "Well, I do now." They said, "What made you change that?" He said, "Everybody was texting me, telling me about it. That's it, for real." And they said, "What did you learn about the last few days about the dude who might own your team?" They told me he's a Hall of Famer. Somebody told me he's like the Michael Jordan of baseball. I feel like that's a stretch. They said, "Oh, you didn't watch any games or highlights to verify that with your own eyes?" He said, "Nah, I ain't watched none. Nah, I know he'd date J-Lo though." They said he does not. He said, "What?" He said he used to date J-Lo, but they broke up. And he says, "Dang." He says, "You look like you're disappointed." "Yeah, I am." "Any reason?" "He's going to be my owner. I want him to be happy." "You think he's going to be happier with J-Lo?" "Yeah." This dude, he is absolutely, I didn't know he was this funny.
And then he said, like, "Yeah, give me a ball, I could pitch 100 miles an hour." Did you hear that?
Dude, he is funny.
He's funny, dude.
I like him. I like it. I mean, like, I'm not opposed to, like, players, you know, who go out there and, you know, try and, like Donovan Mitchell is, like, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to, like, make people like him. He knows how to make, like, the media like him. That's fine. Like, I know it's going to be beneficial for him. But I also kind of like the side of Anthony Edwards, where because he's not, like, getting in trouble or, like, being, like, a moron, like, you know, getting into, like, you know, beef with people and, like, Kevin Durant. But he's just 100% himself, just says what he thinks, and he's super, super, you know, honest and straightforward and not trying to impress anyone.
But yet he still does.
He does.
I think that's everything. Pretty sure that's everything for this past week.
I'm sure there'll be something we'll realize we missed, but
we'll miss like a big time moment or something. But advice of the day: get you a guy or a lady who looks at you the same way Boban and Tobias look at each other.
Yeah.
That's the best love story in history.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for tuning in.